Hey, sweetheart.
So the whining and that high-pitched bark, you got to remember that high-pitched bark. So that's a dog that's in a stressful state of mind, not calm, not relaxed. Now, you just watch how she holds the muzzle here, because again, she stated that Macey is usually calm. Now, Macey gets that muzzle on whenever she leaves the kennel, and she's been there for 4 months, so that means this muzzle goes on her every day. So, you see, the way she holds it, she's preparing for Macey to bolt out, because that's what she expects to happen. And that's because she does this every day. Macey is never calm. So right there, she grabbed Macey by the scruff of the neck to try and control her. Macey's going up in the air to try and resist being. Now she just grabs her by the scruff of the shoulder. Still trying to get the muzzle on. Now, granted, she is focusing on the guy holding the camera, but still whining, still stressed. And Jorian is also saying good girl and good girl. You know, whenever you give affection to a dog or talk to a dog in a reassuring voice, they have no idea what the words mean, even good girl. They just don't know. They're only responding to your energy. And when you do that, you're rewarding the state of mind, not just action. So you have to be very careful about the state of mind a dog is in before you give it affection. And if that state of mind changes while you're giving it affection, you have to stop giving the dog affection. So, still working on trying to get the muzzle on her. So you see here, Macey jumps up on her. Jumps up on her again. And we finally get calm. So now this is the fake doll that they use. Now the intention of these videos is to show Macey is aggressive. So watch. First thing, boom, she attacks the dog with the doll. As far as Macey's concerned, whatever that object is, it's not a kid, it's not a human, it doesn't have any energy, it's not moving, dogs are that smart. So she goes to attack it again. So the bark, now you see, as soon as Macey can't see it, she calms down. And then when the dog comes back in view, she starts barking again. Now, most of this barking, again, is that high-pitched kind of a yelp bark. Right there, see? So that's stress. That's stress. At no point here is Macey fearful. The whole thing is they're all saying that Macey's fearful. That's not a fearful dog. A fearful dog has its tail tucked tight to its belly, and it does not come near you. It doesn't move towards you. A fearful dog always moves away from you. So now this is their stuffed dog Decoy that's sprayed with urine. Same thing. Watch her foot as she brings it in. See? She nudges it forward with the foot, and right away Macey goes nuts. Because as far as Macey's concerned, that object, she knows it's not a dog. It's not alive. It has no energy. There's just some object that attacked her. Now, if you look at all the paint scraped off the walls in every single pen, and we'll also look at the damage to the chain link fence. We're still trying to confirm the date, but this fence was apparently all replaced. All that chain link was brand new in 2018, and all that damage to it, because they do this all the time. So this is Lisbeth Plant, Cowichan Canine behavior and training. So this is the dog Decoy that she's doing here. Now, I just want to read from the judge's decision, number 49. By Miss Plant's own admission, Macey seemed stressed, and her testing was done whilst gunshots were possibly heard by the dog. I question the veracity of Miss Plant's opinion to some degree based on her decoy approach in her testing of Macey. In my view, those tests come nowhere near that of reality. And also from item 54 in the judge's decision, this is from a court case that under cross-examination, Ms. Plant admitted that the field of dog behavior and dog training is less a science than an art. As Ms. Plant testified, there is no formal training for the field per se, but that with experience and immersion in the literature, persons like Ms. Plant can offer the best informed guess again, this is the doll, and you see the first thing she does is she lunges or moves the doll towards Macey. Macey feels she's being attacked. The whole time Macey's coming down the road, she's in front of the handler, putting her in the leader position. She's just a year and a half old puppy, and you know, you see the leash is totally slack here. She's not lunging forward, she's not moving forward, she's not an aggressive dog. This isn't aggression at all. Now as soon as the doll moves away, that's when Macey starts moving forward, and that happens all the time. Never move away from the dog. So now we're doing it with the dog Decoy. Now watch, she's going to tell her to move forward right there, and then she lunges, and see the foot, same thing. They do that because they know that Macey is going to see that as an attack, and it's going to make the dog act as you see Macey acting. All of this is done with the intention to show Macey is an aggressive dog, because that's what they want. So now you just have to listen very closely here. This is just as I'm entering the building when I first started to work with Macey.
Okay. As I said, I wanted this to be as fair as possible. Yeah.
So that guy that just said he wants it to be as fair as possible, that's Ian Fraser. He's the guy that owns the Nanaimo and Victoria Animal Control Centers. They are not run by the city, they are privately owned. The SPCA used to have the contract for both cities and lost them because of abuse. So in setting this up, I told him that I wanted Macey in an area by herself, which is she was supposed to always be. No other dogs around, and I didn't want any movement of people and door skills and everything. It all needed to be calm. No movement, just so I could deal with Macey. Now, you're going to hear in a bit that they actually have a dog planted on the other side. There's kennels on the other side, and they have a dog planted over there. You'll hear that dog barking in a bit. That's my beautiful girl, Stella. So Macey is doing, again, it's the high-pitched bark, the high-pitched kind of a yelp thing. That's just a dog that's kind of insecure. It's in a stress situation. She's a puppy, she's a baby, she doesn't have anybody to protect her. Macey, the whole time here, I'm not looking at her at all. I'm just totally ignoring her. So that was kind of where Macey lunged forward a bit at the door. That's because what Macey always does. You saw when Mattman went to put the muzzle on her, that's exactly what Macey does. So again, I didn't, it doesn't bother me. I didn't acknowledge it or anything, still ignore it. Now there's a trap door at the back here that opens up into an area that I wouldn't be able to get into, so I closed that because I have to be able to block, just like any of my clients know. When I come into your house, I try to block your dog in a hallway, and that's just to stop the movement. They said I did this to trap Macey so that she had nowhere to run from her fear, but I've already shown this is not a fearful dog. Her tail is never, ever, ever tucked between her legs. Not even down, slightly between her legs. When they say that 99.9% of aggression is fair aggression, they're totally false. It's totally false. The majority of aggression is territorial and protective aggression. So just by ignoring her, you see how Macey has calmed down already quite substantially. So I asked him to pass this bed over intentionally because I wanted to see how Macey reacted to it. She did move away a little bit and then started taking. So now this is where I basically come in, and the conversation I'm having here is, I'm your new pack leader, I'm going to protect you, I'm going to take care of you. So I just ask him to sit, and then I just stare. So you just keep staring at the dog. In my mind I'm saying, you know, sit down, relax, you're okay, just sit down, relax. Because in order to project the energy, you have to think it in order to project it. So you hear the other dog barking on the other side of the wall here.
The storage is full. It's done. It won't record anymore.
So now they start with the camera, and it's amazing how long this goes out. So Macey sat, so now you can still hear the other dog barking. So I turn sideways. As soon as the dog sits, you turn sideways and you don't look at the dog anymore. So now I'm just trying to center myself, take a breath. I start to realize now that, you know, they've done all this to try and interfere with this, to try and get Macey to be as reactive as possible. So with the door, you'll see every time the door opens, Macey knows that noise and she becomes alert. So I'm losing her focus, and that's the intent. So I just ask Macey to sit again, turn sideways to her, get back down, calm my energy. And that's why Macey is as calm as she is right now. It's because of my energy that I'm projecting to her without even looking at it. So again, she walked by, I lose Macey's focus. I test to get her focus. So there, that was me correcting the other dog on the other side of the wall. And you see that dog listened to me. That tiss noise, that's how you say no to a dog. The first way a dog says no to another dog is a very loud, sharp bark. It's a very specific bark. And that's what this tiss noise simulates. And to a dog, it sounds exactly like a bark. And it's the only noise that really works. It's sort of like an ST sound, like stop. So now, I bring out a treat because we need to see how the dog is for using its nose. When a dog is in a stressful state of mind, fight, flight, they stop smelling. And that's why dogs in many of these situations won't take treats. You could have a T-bone steak, they don't care. It's about survival. They're not using their nose. We'll eat later. So at first she didn't take the treat. So we got more movement going on now. Losing her focus. I asked her to sit. So now, get another treat. This time I just put it in the palm. I don't look at her. She smells it for a little bit. And then she finally takes it. So that's good. So that shows me that. So again, the door, the movement, I lose her focus. I just stand up, ask her to sit. So here I'm just rubbing the chest in a circle, giving the affection under the jowls. Just trying to keep that connection, keep her relaxed. This is where I face her now to try and keep that focus with the door. So you see I give her a couple of tisses, and that's to correct her, to get the focus back. This is where I'm putting on the leash, slip leash. So she walked by, I lost the focus again. The tiss is just regaining Macey's focus. And basically I'm just saying, no, don't look at her, just look at me. And this is where I'm starting to get a little annoyed now, because they're just going. Ian came in the door there, and I'm like, what are you people doing? Like, so I kind of mention here that, you know, guys, you got to be quiet. Okay? They really wanted me to fail, I'll tell you that. Took us 6 months in court before I could even see this dog. They fought tooth and nail. Their lawyer objected to everything. They wouldn't let me see the dog. They wouldn't let me assess the dog. They didn't want me to testify in court. And they did everything in their power to try and stop it. And the judge finally said, no, Mr. Griffiths, you go right ahead and go see that dog. And I went and saw her that day. This is that day the judge said I could go see her. So after all the movement and everything, I just wanted to get Macey calm again, which is what I was just doing there. So now we're getting her moving forward here on the leash. We want her to stop, pull up, ask her to sit, relax. Good. See the tail, nice and relaxed. Body's nice and relaxed. Now, as many of my clients know, especially the ones that have very high energy dogs and puppies, one of the first things I do when I come into your home is to get your dog to lay down in front of me on the floor and go to sleep. The relationship between dogs is not based on dominance and submission. You see, none of this is dominance, what I'm doing here. The relationship between dogs is based on trust and respect. And it's very hard for somebody to respect you if they don't trust you. So the first thing you have to build in any relationship is trust. And that's what I'm doing here by asking the dog to lay down. Because when you can get your dog to lay down on its side, completely lay down on its side, and go to sleep, that's 100% trust. Because a dog will not go to sleep in that position unless it knows it's 100% protected. Because in that position, their stomach is vulnerable. And that's a very weak point. So they will not go to sleep unless they know they're protected. And that's the trust. So this is me just asking her, just lay down, baby. Just relax. I know you've had a hard 4 months in here, but you're going to be okay. Just relax. But I project that all through energy. Dogs don't speak English. Never have, never will. Dogs communicate with energy, sound, and touch. And the energy is the most important part. If you want to have a calm, relaxed dog, you have to feed in the calm, relaxed energy for that dog to mimic. Dogs always mimic the energy of their pack leaders. That's how they ensure survival. So, if the dog just lifts its head up, I just tisk to say no, and then I just kind of hold my hand as a block, probably about 6-8 inches away from the dog's head. And in my mind, I'm just saying, lay down, relax, lay down, relax. And then as soon as the dog lays its head down, I take my energy away. So anytime I lose focus or anything like that, I give it tisk. So now she's got her head down, so now I start rubbing the chest very gently in a circular motion. Try and get her to relax. Now, a lot of the times when you first do this with the dog, the eyes are going to be open full, and they're not going to be blinking. So a lot of people look at a dog laying down like that and think it's calm and relaxed. Well, it's calm, but it's not relaxed. Let me tell that just from the eyes. So at that point, the only place that you can touch the dog is the chest, rubbing very gently in a circular motion with your fingertips. And that has a very calming effect on a dog. So here she lifted her head up, so I just tisk and block and ask her to lay her head back down. When a dog does this, a balanced dog does this, I should say, they stand over the other dog until it relaxes, and then they walk away. So we don't need to stand over the dog. You just need to hold your hand just kind of as a block, projecting the energy of lay down, relax. So I keep staring her in the eye. She still has her head up, and I just stand there. I just keep staring her in the eye. I don't blink. And in my mind, I'm just saying, lay down, relax, lay down, relax. And then as soon as she lays her head down, you take the energy away. So now I'm going to see if I can move away with her still staying down, with her head down. That's good. There we go. So at this point, I think we're in there for about 5 minutes. So there, she was about to get up. I just said, no, just stay on the mat. So now she comes. So she got up too soon. She can't get up until I actually walk away, and then she can get up. So I just go back and ask her to get back on the bed again. I don't even bother to get them to lock the gate now because I know they don't need to. We're not dealing with an aggressive dog here at all. So see how you keep your legs kind of spread a little bit. You use your arms to block. You just walk into the dog space to move it back, and that's claiming. And then I ask her to sit and then to lay down. One more tisk to say stay. When I stare at her, wait for her eye contact. That's what I'm waiting there for. Good. She gave me her eye contact, and then I walk and go away. And now you'll see how long she stays here this time. So if you got a dog that's barking at the door all the time, this is what you do. You just ask your dog to go lay down on your dog bed, and then you go get the door. So, as you saw with the decoy dogs that they used, Macey went pretty nuts. So I figured I'd bring my little Chihuahua Stella. So we get a little bark there at first. I correct it. Little uneasy growl. I still correct. You see, nothing like you saw with those decoy dogs. Because she's already seeing me as her pack leader. She already knows I can trust her. And by me saying no, right, ask her to go back to your bed. I'm going to ask her to lay down. I'm going to ask her to stay. Okay. All that with the tiss. Dogs only bark at each other. So, now Stella's 13 years old, and she's what I call the pack matriarch, or the pack grandmother. So right now I own 23 dogs, and she's the top dog. She's the boss. Everybody has to respect Stella, and she makes sure they do. So right here with the leash, when I tug sideways on the leash like that, a level 2 correction in the dog world is when one dog runs towards another dog with a bark or a growl, and they go and they hit the side of the neck of the other dog. When it's done properly by a balanced dog, they don't bite. A lot of people think they do, but they don't. It looks like they do, but they don't. They just go up, and they'll either hit with a closed muzzle or an open muzzle. So when I need to say no to her on leash, I just tug to the side, very sharp tug to the side. The energy or the assertiveness you use in that correction depends on the energy of the dog and the severity of what the dog is doing. So right now, that touch I just did with my hand, that's not punching the dog. You see, it's my fingertips. And that's the same thing. I just poked the side of the neck. And that's because Macey hasn't seen another dog in 4 months, right? She's totally in solitary confinement in that kennel for about 22 hours a day, every day for 4 months. It's atrocious. And this is a good shot because you can see all the damage of that chain link on the gate there. Every single gate, every single kennel in this building looks the same. How many dogs had act the way they had Macey acting to cause that much damage? So when I'm giving Macey these corrections, it's just because her focus is too much, right? The tail's not wagging, so she's not in a high energy state. But you see the tail is coming up level, right? And the same as before, the first time I gave her that strong correction. It's because when that tail comes up level kind of like that, and you're only looking at the first 6 inches of the tail, not the tip, the first 6 inches. So that's alertness. So we're getting a little bit of a wag in the tail. The energy's coming up a little bit. So I'm just watching there. And I don't have, there's no tension in the leash. It's just, I just have contact with the leash. So again, I just give a little correction, say, nope, that's too much focus. I don't want her head, she can't have her head over Stella. So there, as soon as she turned away from Stella on her own, that's when I know, that's it, we're done, good. And I just dropped the leash, because when she turned away from Stella, that was her showing respect to Stella. So that's when she understood that Stella is a dog that's higher in the pack than her, and that she has to respect her. And that's why Stella is so comfortable. I can bring Melina or Stella in these situations with these type of dogs, and my dogs are completely relaxed because they know I'm going to protect them. Every one of my dogs know in their heart and soul that I'm going to protect them with their life. And I know they'll do the same for me, and that's why Stella is calm here. I was really proud of Stella this day. She did really good. You'll see, it's quite a while when we're outside before Stella finally corrects her, because Stella sees that I'm dealing with it and she doesn't need to. And that's your job as the pack leader, as the parent. Your job is to protect your child. If you're in the playground and you got another child comes over and starts bullying your child, you're just going to stand there and watch it. You're going to correct that other child. You're going to protect your child. So right there, a little bit ago, I gave her another strong level 2 correction with the touch to the side of the neck, and that's again because the focus was too much. And then I claimed Stella again by moving Macey away. And then once Macey moved away and she was calm, then I invited Macey to come back. So now we do the treats. So I give the treats to Stella first, because anybody that watches wolves know the alphas eat at the carcass first, and then the betas, all the way down to the omegas. So in order to reestablish Stella's position as higher in the pack than Macey, then Stella has to get the treats first. Right. So So again, the focus was up too much there. I corrected her and asked her to lay down at the same time. And I start giving them treats together. So this is an important one to do, because right off the bat, I want to see, does Macey have any aggression over food? And she doesn't. So there she just got up and moved towards Stella without me saying that, you know, she could. So I corrected her and she stopped and moved back from Stella. So I didn't give her a treat. I just noticed there was one on the floor and let her know that she could have it. All right. So now that's about after, I think, 12 minutes total time. And for the first time in 4 months, Macey is walking with another dog. So now we're going to go outside. My intention in coming here, when I do an assessment, my intention is not to show that a dog is aggressive, to prove that a dog is aggressive. My intention is to help the dog. And in the vast majority of these cases, the dog is not aggressive. It's just a puppy that's scared, nervous, anxious, insecure, just like a 7-year-old child. Like, imagine having a 7-year-old child in a jail cell and you bringing up things that it doesn't know, like that dog and child, and doing the same thing that they did to this dog to a child. Everybody would freak. So every time I pull, I give that little tug up there, because she's moving a little forward a little too quick, and we just pull up and stop. So it's possible that outside we could see a different behavior because she's no longer confined in her kennel, right? She's outside. Now, you'll also notice in the judge's decision, they talk about gunshots, and that's probably why Macey, so that's the first time that Stella finally corrected her, and you saw Macey really listen to that.
What a good girl.
Yeah, she was.
Macey.
You see,
Macey.
Macey's relaxed, she's happy, tail's wagging. So now I'm trying to get her focused, but see, so I'm calling to get her focused, but she keeps focusing on Stella. So that touch that I just gave there to the side by the belly, that's a level 3 correction. And that's when a dog runs up towards another dog, and as the other dog is running, and they nip the side, usually with a bark or a growl again. So again, right here, this is where I'm trying to get to focus. So once I have Macey's focus, I give affection underneath. So you couldn't hear gunshots in the videos that they made, but you can definitely hear the gunshots here, and you can see it's having no effect on Macey whatsoever. So the gunshots, what they're saying of having some kind of an impact on Macey, of course, is not true as well. So yeah, that touch was what we call a level 3 correction. And that's one way you're kind of really messing up now. You're doing something that you're really not supposed to do. So because Macey's focus was way too much on Stella again, and I asked Macey to come to me to give me her focus, and that's why I gave that level 3. So now you see it's much, so there I go back to a level 2, and you see the treat has no effect, absolutely no effect, see? Trying to get her focus with it, trying to get the focus. So there. So this is where I'd already asked her 3 or 4 times to not have that focus on Stella. So that was a much more assertive level 3 correction. Again, it was just with my fingertips. Now, she moved away like that, not because she's fearful. Like you're going to see here, her tail. See, the tail is out to the side. She's not sitting on her tail. So her tail's not tucked. She's not fearful. Excuse me. She didn't run away because she's fearful. She moved away because that's what I asked her to do. When I gave that very assertive level 3 correction, that's where I said, okay, now I've asked you 3 times. I mean it. You cannot look at Stella with that much energy. That's just not appropriate. And then I go back, ask her to sit, give her the affection, and that's where I'm saying, I'm not mad at you. You just can't focus on Stella or any other dog with that amount of energy, that amount of focus. So now she can go back, she smells, and now again she's given Stella her space again. And I reward her for that with affection. Dogs don't reward each other with treats. They reward each other with affection and acceptance.
Macey.
So,
Okay, so I'm just going to take Stella back and get another dog. So you can just pause for...
so this is Melina, my alpha female. She's usually the one that I introduce to all dogs first. Now, you see she's coming out with her tail straight up, and she's also ignoring Macey, see? And that's because Melina's the alpha female, I'm the top dog. And that's exactly what that tail straight up in the ear means. Now you see Macey has her tail kind of more straight out level kind of thing, not up. And that's because Macey is not a dominant dog. You also see how Macey's kind of leaning forward on the legs there. And that's because she's already giving Melina respect. Because just because of Melina having that tail up and ignoring her, that's how Macey knows. So now, just giving Macey some affection. You see Miss Nappin is still scared. As soon as the dogs move towards, she moves back to close the door, thinking something's still going to happen. I'm just in my hands in my pockets because I know nothing's going to happen. You see Melina's still ignoring Macey. And that's because Melina knows that Macey is insecure, a little anxious, a little nervous. And that's how dogs help those type of dogs. They ignore them. When you have a dog that's in any kind of an unbalanced state, fearful, nervous, anxious, insecure, and you look at it, to the dog, you're correcting it, challenging it, or dominating it. None of which are good to the dog. And that's why balanced dogs ignore unbalanced dogs. And that's how they help them. I'm not here to dominate you. I'm not here to challenge you. I'm not here to correct you. See, I'm just calm and relaxed. Everything is cool. I'm not even looking at you. I'm no threat to you. Just relax. You're going to be fine. And that's how my dogs help these dogs. There's absolutely no way that you can help an unbalanced dog, especially a dog that's fearful, very fearful, unless you know what dogs think and then know how to talk back to them to let them know that you're there to help them. So I want to try the treat thing again now with the bigger dog. And again, I give the treats to Melina first, and Macey's being very respectful. Give her affection, give Melina affection. So now let's get the leash back on Melina.
So now I want to get...
So, so what I did in this interim is we put Macey back in her kennel. I went back out to the truck and I got another dog that I have actually for board. I did have for rehab a long time ago. This is Mud. Mud comes boarding with me quite often. He's a great dog. I love him. So I just have Mud tied to the fence there. Melina's in the compound here as well, loose. You'll see her in a bit. So this is, you saw what they did with the leash with the stuffed dogs. Well, this is me doing the leash work with Macey with real dogs. So you see there's Melina, again, just completely ignoring what I'm doing with Macey. So whenever Macey focuses on one of my dogs, especially with her ears up, right? Whenever a dog looks at something with his ears up, that's called a look with intent. And that means the dog is focused on that object and it's going to want to go toward that object. So whenever Macey looks at a dog with the ears up, I give that sideways correction with the tisk correction as well at the same time, the level 2 tug to the side on the leash. Whenever you give a leash correction, you always make the tss noise at the same time, because when a dog is off leash, that's how you correct them. If you're walking up a road and your dog starts to see somebody and they start to go up towards that person, you should just be able to snap your finger and make a loud tss, and your dog will stop, turn around, and come back. Because you just said, no, don't go that way, come to me, all with the tiss. Because when you're walking a dog on leash, the dog's focus should be on you. You definitely look at the world and, you know, watch the world. It just can't focus on the world with its ears up. So she can look at other dogs and that with her ears back. She just can't do it with her ears up. Their only responsibility is to focus on you until you give them permission to do something else. So that's Mud whining. He wants to start playing. So here, I'm just asking Macey to lay down and relax again. Same thing I did inside, but now I just wanted to do it outside with another dog that she hasn't met yet nearby. She lays down right away, relax, gentle affection. Now, I'm not correcting Mud when he's whining there. And you notice if you play this video back and forth, the whining that Macey did when she was in the kennel, when Miss Knapman went to put on the muzzle, if you listen to that whine compared to Mud's whine here, they're two completely different whines. And that's because they mean two completely different things. Macey's whine was a stressful whine. Mud's whine is, Dad, I want to go play, kind of a thing. So again, just still working on that relaxation. Ignore Mud. I know he's whining. I know he wants to play. I know the gunshots are going off. If you have a dog that's fearful of anything, the only way you can get that dog to be non-fearful of that object is to ask your dog to be in a calm, relaxed state in the presence of whatever fears them. And that's it. And this is how you do it. You just get the dog to lay down on its side, and if you've got a dog that's scared of guns, take it to the range. Take a nice, comfortable bed with you. Dog bed. Have your dog lay down. Feed it and exercise it well before you do it, so that it's already in a state of mind of wanting to take a nap. So now, you see Macey's following good behind me there. The tail is down with the end tucked out. Ears are relaxed. It's doing good. So now I bring her right up. So as you saw on the road, as soon as they brought to the other dog, Macey lunged right towards the dog. Well, Macey's not doing that now because Macey sees that she's no longer the pack leader. She's not in a position where she has to protect herself. She sees that I'm there now to protect her. And I'm leading her to see this dog, to meet this dog. And because my energy is calm and the leash is slack, that's how I'm letting Macey know that I'm not concerned about this dog. You don't need to worry about this dog either. See, I'm calm, I'm not worried. And there you go. Drop the leash, unhook Mud. Done. So now you see how Mud's reaction is different than Melina's, because Mud's not part of the leadership of my pack, right? He's just a visiting member of the pack. Now, Mud is a dominant dog, and you see he does have his tail up a bit, and his tail is wagging, right? And that's one thing with Mud. He's definitely a very happy, higher energy type of a dog than Melina. But he is also ignoring Macey, because he doesn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. And that's how they do it. They just ignore.
Macey.